Welcome to you inside the parlor. I hope your Christmas was as epic as mine, complete with family, friends, good food, maybe some new merchandise. What do you think, hey? I know a lot of kids, maybe even hundreds of them, would have received Villa tickets to that Boxing Day clash with Liverpool in their stocking. Maybe some of them even going to Villa Park for the very first time. Maybe even kids like, I don't know, Finley and Summer Willits, Nick's kids, big fans of the show. Look at these two cherubs. Don't you wish sometimes that you could always have that childlike wonderment about supporting your football club, unfettered and unfussed by results, tactics, formations, individual performances? Because the thing that bugged me after that game, not the result, not the performance itself, but again, the reaction or overreaction to the first game back after a long World Cup break. Well, let's talk about it. Aston Villa 1, Liverpool 3. First of all, a quick show update, and I received an awful lot of feedback on this subject, which I deeply appreciate, and we reviewed it very thoroughly. And after careful consideration between myself and producer Rob, we've decided against pursuing a Patreon platform for this show. We were never going to do two platforms because that was going to be too difficult to manage. But walking away from YouTube right now and almost 9,000 subscribers doesn't make a lot of sense in a show that's still growing and a channel that's building. And it also doesn't make sense to walk away from one of the world's biggest and most powerful search engines, which helped us achieve those 9,000 subscribers, for which we're very grateful and thankful for. We really want to do a good job. That's the first and most important thing to us, that it's a good quality show that keeps getting better. But that takes a lot of time. And would we like to do this full time? Yeah, we would. It's just not possible right now, but it's less possible over two platforms. So we're sticking to YouTube because it has a lot of the options that a Patreon site would have. And hopefully you'll continue supporting us. So here's how you can help support the channel. First of all, watch the ads. If they're 30 seconds or below, don't hit the skip button. It helps. And our AdSense revenue was a big reason why we decided we can't walk away from YouTube, because it was decent. And it's because you watched the ads. I'm not asking you to watch a 20-minute infomercial about body fat, because if you do, you're always going to get 20-minute infomercials about body fat. But if the ad's 30 seconds or less, maybe don't hit skip. Also, if you're going to buy merch, and you know you are, like this beautiful Players hooded travel jacket. I love the gear, quite frankly. The cuffs are tight and tidy. I'm a XXL. This fits perfectly. Great sales. Boxing Day week on right now at the Villa store. 50% off some kit. Consider using the link in the descriptions that we provide in every video on this channel. It's not going to cost you more, but it is going to benefit the show. And lastly, if you were one of the many people who reached out to me directly and said, we'd support your Patreon channel, and you were willing to pay for a pint or more for me and Rob per month or more, then consider supporting us through a couple of our membership options that we will activate on YouTube, which is very similar to Patreon, but it's your choice. If you want to support us, you can. If you don't, that's fine too. But there were a lot of people who said that they were very willing to support this show, and I deeply appreciate it. And, you know, now you can put your money where your mouth is. And we'll keep you updated regularly on our quest to visit Villa Park in B6. We're just costing it out and budgeting it all right now. 2 games in mind for the springtime and a U21 game at Bodymoor Heath. But I need this for my soul. I've never been, and in order to keep building this channel, we need that B-roll and that video material to help legitimize us. I mean, I'm a Canadian dude living 7,400 miles away. It's hard sometimes to be taken seriously with the other channels without having ever been to Villa Park. And we're going to track it using Pete and Rob's Villa Park pilgrimage tracker. There's the map. There's Vancouver. There's Birmingham. And there's the plane with me and Rob. And so if you can find it in your heart to join our membership package on this platform, we would greatly appreciate it. It's important for me to also make personal connections with you, in addition to finally being there and having all sorts of material and doing some live shows from there. YouTube does take 30%, which is pretty dear. That's not great for you and me, but it still makes more sense to keep everything together on this one platform. Right, here we go with a very appropriate photo and the Holy Trinity Show, the 3 key issues or moments that define Villa 1, Liverpool 3, starting with the key statistics. I looked at Luca Dean's chances created in this game as our special stat. Beyond that, we conceded way too many chances, which is sort of a sub-story of this game. So the XG for Liverpool was high. So were the shots and the shots on target. Accurate passes similar. They had 7 big chances and possession was similar. But Luca Dean created 4 chances in that game. Only Mo Salah had 4 rather than everybody else. And that's despite the fact that Luca Dean was absolutely stained on social media after this game. I watch every Aston Villa game twice, first live as a fan, because I enjoy that. I want to feel like a supporter and have those instant reactions. But then I watch it again because I feel as though I owe that to you, and I sleep better at night as somebody who wants to be a credible analyst, knowing that I've given the game a sober second perspective. Some of the reactions and comments on social media following that Boxing Day game were utterly embarrassing, bordering on idiotic, frankly. And in watching any game, you have to consider 2 vantage points. One is the 30,000-foot macro view, the big picture. And then there's the 30-foot vantage point from which most supporters are watching, either in the stands or on television, same as analysts. And the macro 30,000-foot view shows me that Liverpool is a far superior squad of players in every single metric: value, potential, experience, big games played, all of it. And that is indisputable. I mean, a great example is they paid $64 million for Darwin Nunez, and now they've gone out and splashed $44 million on Cody Gakpo. That's the might that this club has because of its scale. And we simply are not even close to that squad of players. These are the sharks that we're swimming with in this league, and you've got to factor that in when you're watching a game like the one on Boxing Day. That's why I'm so perplexed at the fan reaction to this game. This is the exact same squad that Steven Gerrard was overseeing not that long ago, with the exception of Emi Martinez and Jacob Ramsey, 2 guys who arguably would have been starting had they been available for Liverpool. But I think our fans honestly believe now that because we've brought in a world-class manager in Unai Emery, that he can suddenly wave his magic managerial wand and make very inconsistent players suddenly great and more consistent against a vastly superior squad of players in Liverpool. There's actually a term for this. It's called the managerial messiah complex. It's pure and utter fantasy. There can be improvement, and I've seen it. We've all seen it. I think mostly in mentality, above all else, belief once again. But there are limits to what Unai Emery can do with this squad, a squad that was struggling under Gerrard, some of whom were already languishing as far back as a now unemployed again Dean Smith. It's just not realistic. My 30-foot view of Boxing Day is that Aston Villa created a shocking amount of high-quality chances against an elite Premier League squad of players, the core of which has already achieved major success and expects to continue achieving major success in the form of trophies. And I'm watching these build-ups and these attacking moments wondering, is this spontaneous, improvised play where the players are just freely reacting to opportunities that are being given to them? Or are these moments rooted in some kind of rehearsed patterns? Hard to tell. Either way, who cares? Maybe it's a blend of both, but I've sat on this channel saying numerous times, what is the plan going forward? Why are there no discernible moments or patterns in Villa's front third play? It was completely absent under Steven Gerrard, and we saw it time and time again. And I laugh at people who are obsessed with formations and tactics. Oh, formations and tactics, because formations and tactics are just a platform from which to build, and generally only for out of possession type moments. So you've lost the ball. What do you do now? You get into shape and you make sure you understand your responsibilities so you aren't caught in transition. Because one creative moment, one brilliant piece of inspiration can undo all your tactical and formational work. And there were a lot of those types of moments in this game. I'm going to start with one of those moments. This was the inception of the 1-0 goal. And do you know how it started? It started with Aston, the Liverpool goalkeeper, playing a 60-yard ball that completely bypassed our entire team and led to Tyrone Mings nearly taking himself and our goalkeeper out for the second time in 4 games, because that happened at Newcastle, because he has no control over his body. But you could see it right here. Look at the shape. You could see the two up front. It's Watkins and Bailey. And my question right here is, why are they not pressing? Was this part of the plan, just to be passive, have a passive press and let Aston have the ball and do what he wants here? Because if you're not pressing here, if you're not hurrying Aston into playing a poor ball, why not drop off and press somewhere else? And here's another thing as this ball is being played. Note that we have 4 in midfield and 4 at the back. So we have width on either side. And yet this one ball here bypasses everybody on the width. Look at this ball. We are completely done on one ball. And then from here, chaos ensues. Now, it doesn't feel like it because there was a long injury break and then the corner came and the goal came from a second phase. But that was the inception of the first goal. And in the context of any match, the timing of a goal can sometimes be as crucial as scoring the goal itself. Like for this game, it was the exact reverse of what we managed against Manchester United at home, where we scored the early goal, followed it up shortly thereafter with a second, conceded to make it dicey before Jacob Ramsey made it 3-1. And conceding against Liverpool 5 minutes in is not part of any tactical or strategic plan in a game. And your formations go out the window. And Unai Emery said as much afterwards. We abandoned our plan and our principles and our approach and started becoming very individual. Boom, before you know it, it's 2-0. So you could plan tactically. These people that talk about tactical master classes, or he didn't get his tactics right. That's all. You know what that is? That is FIFA fantasy football. Now, on the 2-0 goal, another set piece goal, who on earth decided that it was a good idea that 5'8" Emi Buendia would be responsible for marking 6'5" Virgil van Dijk? Buendia actually looks over to the dugout during a pause and says, "What am I doing marking this guy?" And if you look at this play, Virgil van Dijk is left alone for a split second as Emi Buendia loses him. Look at how many bodies are in the 6-yard box, and we still cannot prevent that ball from coming through. So you talk about tactics, formations, planning, all those things. We had almost 9 claret shirts in the 6-yard box, and we left the one guy who ended up scoring alone for a split second and still could not block that ball from going in the back of the net. So there you can plainly see a couple of perfect, tangible examples of exactly what I was talking about in our January transfer window plans. Like if we had another 6'3" or taller center back, would we have put Emi Buendia on Virgil van Dijk? Or maybe even a 6'3" or 4" striker? Would that have helped in that situation? Or maybe in that 1-0 goal first phase where the clearance was not very convincing? I think a game like this perfectly illustrates why Villa should be looking for players who have more aerial and physical presence, frankly. And while we're on the subject of the January transfer window show and what we need in the upcoming transfer window, if Unai Emery is serious about playing the ball out of the back on the floor and playing between or around a press, he needs a goalkeeper who's a footballer then. And Robin Olsen is not. In this game, he had a woeful passing percentage of just 69 from 36 attempted shorter range passes. On the longer ones, he tried 17 and completed only 6 of them. And how many of those just sailed over the heads of the fullbacks or the wingers into touch? Even Emi Martinez isn't strong at the long ball at times. And so if we are looking for a footballing goalkeeper, look no further than what Aston did with his 60-yard ball that led to the first goal. Big issue or moment number 3 is our squad options. I had to chuckle when I saw people already carving Unai Emery for not making a substitution sooner because Jurgen Klopp made 2 at the 67-minute mark that sort of stopped the flow of Villa traffic into the Liverpool defensive third. Nigel and Redditch now says that Unai Emery is incapable of managing in-game after 3 games in charge of Aston Villa. Have we seen this pattern before? My question to you is, who do you bring in to change the complexion of a match? Danny Ings? I'm sorry, no. Phil Coutinho? No. Leander Dendoncker? No. You're not going to bring in a 6.5 out of 10 player to replace a 6.5 out of 10 on-field player and change a game. This is the problem. This is why we need to fish in a different fishing hole. Ones that have $40 to $50 million players who are accomplished right now. Not ones that we hope are going to be accomplished. They are accomplished right now. And then, and only then, will we have options on the bench to maybe change games. Key issue or moment number 2 was set piece problems. Both of Liverpool's first half goals came from set pieces. Yes, the first one was off a second phase, but it's still a set piece. Aston Villa's attacking set pieces were so poor, we had an XG from our set pieces of only 0.08. And yes, I know we didn't have any corners and there weren't a lot of set pieces to choose from, but in the second half, Luca Dean's inside right delivery was so poor that it nearly led to a Liverpool goal on the counter. I can accept a ball that is overcooked as we try to create chaos maybe at the back post. I can accept that. But I cannot accept a ball that doesn't clear the first man and then potentially leads to a counter. And that just comes down to delivery. And the number 1 big issue or moment that defined Villa 1, Liverpool 3 was the conversion rate. This is a recurring theme, and it's why our number 1 priority is a predatory poacher in the January transfer window. Another theme that is recurring is the Ollie Watkins hate train is now gaining so much inertia that it's virtually unstoppable. And we know how this fan base works. Once they're off a player, there is no changing of anybody's mind. That's that. And that doesn't help any situation. I thought Ollie Watkins had a good game. He made the goal look easy, and it's not easy. It's never easy. The one I would have questions about is the John McGinn cross and the header in the first half. But even there, you could see that Matip makes a play to the ball, which freezes him temporarily. And once that hesitation has occurred, it's too late. You're not going to get good connection. And he should be expecting that that ball comes through. The ball over the top that he hits at Alisson, is that a bad miss or is it a good save? And then there's this one. And frankly, look at the buildup here. I was talking earlier. Is the buildup spontaneous or is this somehow a pattern of play? But Ollie Watkins is incapable of scoring in the Premier League, even though he didn't know he was offside at that time. I think he's an effective player, back to goal, occupying center backs. In the lead up to play, he does a lot of things that fans don't notice because all they care about is 3 goals and 3 assists on the season. I think there was a lot of blame to go around for missed big chances, starting with Leon Bailey. Bailey will have had a sleepless night after this one because he was in prime position twice and never made proper connection to even test Alisson. And he also had a good chance in the second half to create a goal, but picked the wrong option and floated it way over Ollie Watkins' head. Now, his first one, I can forgive him a little bit because this ball takes a deflection right there, but he's coming in on his left foot. You'd think he'd be able to test Alisson from there, and he just got it all wrong. The second one was probably more glorious because look at the time he has. Nice dummy from Watkins. And again, no connection to even test Alisson. And then this was John McGinn's chance. I like Ollie Watkins' work here. Back to goal, occupies Matip, plays it in, keeps running, and causes chaos in the middle of the park. But McGinn is once again, like at Nottingham Forest, he's caught between do I volley it or do I head it? He's a lefty playing on the right side. That's one of the challenges of an inverted winger. But in all 3 of those cases, If we had scored, complexion of the game changes. Not all the blame can come down to Ollie Watkins. I'll say it again, and to summarize, Aston Villa, a wildly inconsistent squad of players over the last year and a bit, created an inordinate amount of chances against a vastly superior, more experienced squad in Liverpool. We could not convert. So now we have to address those needs in the squad. A number 9, a predatory poacher, we've talked about that. A goal-scoring winger with pace potentially to create competition and more dynamism and maybe more options off the bench. And frankly, we have a goals allowed problem too that has to be addressed. We need a quality center back who can play out of the back, maybe contribute some goals up front. And we need a backup goalkeeper to push Emi Martinez and give us more security. A goalkeeper who can also be a footballer and play out of the back. These issues need to be addressed. We all know it. I'm sure the owners know it. Now it's just a matter of going and doing it. And how does this result affect the categories we've been following all season long? Well, Villa can't improve on their record at Villa Park. Ollie Watkins does grab a goal, pushing the combined goals tally to 8, but 2 more set-piece goals, conceded -7 now on the season. And in my mind, Liverpool is an easy and guaranteed top 6 side. And now, Spurs, away. A very fine, well-constructed squad that is managed by, let's be honest, a global heavyweight. And I think it's a side that is more than capable of pulling off a romp against us at home if we're not careful. I thought they made 2 fabulous additions last year in Kulusevski and Bentancur that kind of changed their course and gave them a new feel somehow. So I'm not expecting much from this one. But then again, football's not about what we expect. Sometimes it's about what we least expect. Like, what if, say, Emi Martinez comes back off his World Cup high and absolutely stands on his head? Wouldn't that be something? That's why we watch the game. That's why we love it. I'm going to wish you a happy new year in advance. I think 2023 is going to be very interesting, both on the pitch and off it, not just in football, but in the world in general. Stay positive, stay well, and as always, up the mighty Villa.